It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. My name is Dave Sterling, here with favorite guest, Chris Clem.
Dave Sterling, it's good to be back.
We are switching formats. We are going for drive time radio.
Woo!
So,
how about that tribe?
Tribe's rocking and rolling right now, but first, we're going to head it on over to Dylan with a traffic update. Oh, yeah, Dylan's not here. Can't get Dylan.
Budget cuts. Yeah.
Couldn't afford those sous vide egg bites anymore. So we're here. We're going to talk some sports about no particular direction. We're all going to start with what's on the mind of everyone. What?
I was just going to say, you think if Dylan had to tighten the belt, that's the first thing that has to go, the Starbucks sous vide egg bites?
They're so expensive. Like, you're like, oh yeah, those seem all right, and then you see how little they are for the price they are, and yeah, that would be the first to go in my book.
They're pretty good, but I could eat like 8 of them.
Yeah, and that you're up to
is like $5.
Yeah, you're up to $12 by the time you're eating 8 of them.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh yeah, these sous vide egg bites, they're, egg and bacon and cheese. I can eat these. I'm now on a, low carb, low sugar diet. I'm like, oh, I'll have these. Turns out they're made with cottage cheese, and there are carbs in there. Not a ton, but some. So, I am back
Even
to...
the Denver omelet ones?
Yeah, it's because of the base that they mix the egg with. It's not, like I said,
so
not
all
terrible.
Of them have that.
It's better than a croissant or something like that, obviously. So if someone had a gun to my head and said, you have to get a food item from Starbucks, I could order them and probably be fine. But I don't think that situation's really ever going to happen to me.
You could just get like a black coffee and a bag of nuts or something.
Do they sell bags of nuts?
Some of them do.
Oh. Must be the fancy Chicago Starbuckses that have nuts at them.
They have special things called protein packs, and they have like salami and cheese in it.
I do like salami and cheese. I didn't think I'd be eating this much meat, but I do eat a lot more meat now, and it's fine. It all seems to be working.
What's your favorite meat to eat?
Steak.
Okay. Is that the same as before?
Yeah, probably. Like grilling up steak. Now, I do like various types of tacos, and, a burger on a bun is way better than a burger without a bun. Yeah. So the food that remains the most unchanged for me is steak. That, oh yeah, this is the same exact way I would have prepared this before I had dietary restrictions. So this is working out fine.
You know what tacos are really great are lengua tacos. I cannot get enough of those things.
What? Now, I've never heard of this. What is this?
Yeah, they're beef tongue. And you can get them at like every Mexican restaurant here. But like back in Ohio, there's like one place in Akron and one place in Cleveland I can think of that had them. But those are the only 2 places I could think of in all of Northeast Ohio.
Is it like ground or sliced, or how is it?
It's like chopped up cow tongue.
Okay. I believe you. I bet that would be good. Do you like a plain taco, or do you like to load it up?
If I'm having like lengua, definitely only cilantro and onion. But if I'm having something like steak or whatever, I can go either way.
You do realize that the guac is extra.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make you aware of that. I don't want any surprises when the bill comes. Yeah, the big thing I miss about Mexican, I can have a lot of Mexican foods. The chips, I can't resist a basket of chips.
Yeah, and you could go, next thing you know, you're 4 baskets deep.
Yeah, I know. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, yeah, I have not been paying attention.
Well, like every Mexican restaurant, you can basically get, you probably aren't going to eat these because you're trying not to have any carbs, but you can basically get like steak or chicken and beans and then like some vegetables, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to have the beans, which I also didn't think was going to be a big deal, but turns out beans are also good.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't want to make this all about chatting about food I can't eat, but
Yeah, this isn't the Joe Thomas podcast.
I know at some point I'm going to go to a baseball game and order a hot dog and tell them, no bun. Or I'm just going to throw the bun to a pigeon or something.
You can look like all those like late 80s bodybuilders and just go to like McDonald's and get 8 hamburgers and then toss out all the buns.
Yeah, because like I don't want to be the guy who orders them with no bun, because that's weird. Like the people at McDonald's are like, well, the bun is the thing that keeps it from being a slimy mess in this paper bag we're about to put it in. But also, I don't want to waste the buns.
Burger King used to put it in lettuce if you asked.
You know what I'd really like to do is get like a roller grill like they have at the gas station. And I want to do my own hot dogs on a roller grill. And just kind of always have hot dogs rolling.
You got the money, man. Put it in your palatial podcast studio.
You just want constant roller grill hot dogs in the podcast? I mean, it's going to make noise. I think they make
Whenever
noise.
you have a guest, you should have the roller grill going. And then when the show's about to start, everybody gets bunless hot dogs.
Everybody gets bunless hot. And I looked it up because I'm this type of person. The roller bites, the chicken ones, those, the breading.
Tornadoes.
No, these are the ones that are just like chicken with breading on the outside of them. There's like a buffalo one.
Not like the extra long taquitos.
Yeah, well, I do like the extra long taquitos too, but those are way carbier. These, you could have maybe one of these and be okay. But who wants one chicken bite? I mean,
before we get completely on topic, what is your like carb restriction? Like you got a grams per day or something, or just your doctor said no?
Sort of. Like HIPAA violations would occur if I said no. I don't. Really, he said cut out carbs, cut out sugar. Didn't really give me a number. He said anecdotally, you could probably have like pasta or something once a week and be fine. And so I've been seeing good results with what I've been doing, and mostly it was previous to starting this. I was just eating like total garbage anyway, so cutting out all the random, candy, chips, all of that stuff that I was eating all the time, that really has been the biggest help. But
well, congrats and good luck.
Well, thank you. I mean, I know you're wasting away to nothing out there in Chicago because you can only get beef tongue tacos, and that's the only food you can eat. So
that's literally it. I was just going to say, I find it's easy to not eat more than 100 grams of carbs, but to like go below 50 is very hard for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think about 100 is, I'm not going like keto.
Yeah.
I don't think I would sustain myself very long with that because, well, also a lot of the people I found online about that are kind of mean. So I avoided that one. Like I went on and I said, hey, I'm new to this. I'm trying to find something to snack on, excuse me, while I'm at work. I need something that like I can buy in a grocery store that's good to snack on, that's crunchy, because that with chips being gone stuff. So I'm hoping somebody's got some sort of low carb or, keto friendly chip or something. And the first guy says, oh, well, everyone knows the best snack is body fat. Meaning don't eat.
Yes.
Then the second is, well, there are a bunch of great recipes, but if you're lazy, almonds, I guess. Like, thanks, buddy. Thanks for your help.
Damn.
First, you called me lazy, and then you suggested the one thing that I already knew, which was almonds. And so I'm
I
like,
don't know if they have these in Ohio, but they have like chicken chips at my grocery store. Like the chains around here.
The chicken in a biscuit chips?
No, they're like chips made with slices of chicken.
Are they better than pork rinds? Because I have not enjoyed pork rinds.
I haven't tried them yet. I was thinking about maybe getting some today. I don't know. If I should have got some and then I could have reviewed it for you.
Wow, chicken chips. That's my other problem. Well, there's two problems. This is going now in a double phase problem. Number one, all of the stuff that seems kind of good, you can only buy online and you can't get in any stores near you. So you're like, oh, that says it's pretty good ice cream. They've got pretty good reviews. No sugar. Let me try it. Oh, it's $40 to ship it to you, and you need to buy a case of 28 of them. And it'll only be $90 to get this. And you're like, I'm not going to dedicate that much before I try a single spoonful of it. And secondly, my Facebook ads and my Instagram ads are now just a constant barrage of keto foods. So it's trying to make me hungry all the time with these, quote, healthier foods. So now I want cereal all the time because these cereal people are advertising to me. The ice cream ones are funny, but it's like, I can't get that right now. I can't locally access any of this. So now you've just wanted me you've made me want a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, and you've made me want a dish of ice cream. I can't have your healthy version, and so now it's just really trying to entice me into the stuff I can't have, and that's a real bummer.
Yeah, it's just putting you on the hook even more.
Right. It's like, oh, this is very similar to a food you like. Oh, but oh no, we make this in Washington State. You can't have it. But the real stuff's right out the door. You could go get the real ones right now. Anyway, that's low carb chat. This was also easier in the early 2000s when low carb was very popular.
Oh yeah, like when Atkins was the move, everybody was going on.
Yeah, it's less popular now, and like I said, if you talk keto, then people get weird in a hurry. So I'm not going to do that. No offense to any keto people out there. I don't want you to yell at me or call me lazy or anything.
Yeah, if you weren't so lazy, you could make your own keto cereal with 5 grams of net carbs, you loser.
Exactly, you idiot. Everyone knows it.
The problem is everybody wants to just believe in something that's just their way's the best. So, if keto's it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great too.
Well, that's where I feel like I have a little bit of a handle on it, mainly because my goal isn't to lose weight, because that's just a byproduct of the dietary restriction my doctor gave to me, And so that's a lot more helpful than, hey, pick a plan so you can not be so fat. And I'm like, okay, well, that's tougher to do. But this is, I need to eliminate this and this from my diet, or else in 15 to 20 years, I'll have to lose a foot. And so I'm like, I like my feet. I use them all the time. So I will do this, and as a byproduct, I'm losing weight, which is good. But also as a byproduct, I want cereal I can't have.
Yeah.
So there you go. 13 minutes in, we're going to start talking sports.
All the sponsorship talk out of the way.
Yeah. I think it's deep enough in the episode to say that I don't think Craig listens to these.
I'm sure he was yelling about whatever his diet plan is.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
I tried to tell you already, Dave. I gave you advice and you ignored it.
I think he's probably along the lines of, and this, this is a good test of if he listens or not. He's the type that would go, just deal with it. Don't eat it. Like, I can see him being like the tough, just don't do it. Like,
the only jam I ingest is Pearl. That's my idea of a sweet.
You know what I don't eat? Cake. You know what is also too much on Sirius XM Lithium? Cake.
They're bad for your body and bad for your pre-programmed music list.
Yeah, I could see him being the, well, I just... Yeah, it's pretty hard, so I just don't eat breakfast or lunch. And then at dinner, I just have two raw pieces of cauliflower, and then I go to bed.
I could see Craig knowing exactly the amount of calories his body needs to run like whatever his distance that he's doing, and he doesn't ingest 1 calorie over
What
it.
I'm saying, I don't think he knows it, but I think he has a spreadsheet that tells him.
It's tracked.
He's got it.
Like,
he lists all sorts of variables, and then you're right. And then he'll eat 1 more carrot to get him over.
He's got an apple and he just stops eating it 86% of the way through.
He's got like a pair of,
I have reached I have
he,
reached satiation.
he's got like a pair of calipers so he can measure when he's eaten enough of it. Like he takes a bite and all right, one more bite.
That bite was a little too big, and then he just starts regurgitating part of it.
like a mama bird. So yeah, Craig has got it all figured out because if you've, and I call him this lovingly because it's so impressive. Like he transformed from Fat Craig to Abs Craig over the last I don't know how many years. It's very impressive. Like if you see an old picture of him, you're like, whoa, who's that guy? Because this guy's Abs Craig.
And he's kept it off because I didn't even know that until I saw you put it on his Facebook one time.
Yeah, like he used to be not Abs Craig. So yeah, maybe pre-Abs Craig liked cake, both music and food.
You know, maybe that's why he doesn't like hearing it on Sirius XM Lithium.
It's true. Maybe it's kind of a gateway to him. I'm trying to think if there's any food band names out there other than cake.
The Cranberries.
It's true. And if you get the dried cranberries, those are packed with sugar.
Yeah. And he used to, I heard that Craig used to, on Thanksgiving, they couldn't even see the turkey on his plate because he just put all that cranberry crap on top of it.
Do, 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 do. Yeah, that's would also be on Lithium too. That's actually pretty good. The
Lemon Heads. I think we're figuring out why he hates that station. It's all the food bands.
Yeah. Well, there's corn, but that's with a K. Yeah. I looked up a list. I'm not lying.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not. I'm not in the mental.
I didn't look anything up.
Yeah, you were right about the cranberries. That's probably the bread. They're a little older.
Bread?
I can't have them either. Bowling for soup. It depends on the soup. And this listed Ice Cube. When is ice? I'd put iced tea in before Ice Cube because I don't know. Ice Cube is just an ice cube.
Frozen water.
Yeah. All right. Well, since I cheated and looked them up, I'm not going to say any more of them. But my favorite thing is there's a little meme going around that says, if you ever want to know what it's like to feel silenced, listen to a podcast where the hosts don't know the answer to something and you do. And so now there's a bunch of people right now yelling about band names of food that
I've totally, yeah, they're probably like the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. But we don't, yeah, fine.
But I would never have said that because pumpkin by itself is fine. It wasn't like the pumpkin pies or something.
Right. Now, so while we're talking, I'm going to keep talking about food. Why not? Here's my problem with Chipotle. Okay? I like Chipotle when I'm in the mood for Chipotle. The problem is when shopping for a dinner for a family and when one person, like if you were going to any other fast food restaurant and say your spouse wanted a hamburger. It's like, hey, go to Wendy's, get a hamburger. And I'm like, I don't really feel like a hamburger. I'll get the chicken sandwich. There is not that option at Chipotle. Like, you're getting the Chipotle with the protein that's in the Chipotle, but they all taste pretty much the same. It's all about texture at that point. And all of, like, the mix-ins are all the same. So that's the downfall to me of the Chipotles. If I'm not in the mood for Chipotle and somebody else wants it, I just kind of got to eat the Chipotle because there's no... Well, give me the fish sandwich, Chipotle.
You make a very good point, but I can't really relate to it because when it comes to eating, like, I guess, fast food, the only place I go to a lot is Chipotle because it's very easy to find out what their nutritional stuff is. And because then I can just get a salad with the fajita vegetables and the black beans and then some steak, and then just all the salsas except the corn one, and then just like a little bit of cheese. And I'll eat that like 2 or 3 times a week, depending on if I got money for it or not.
Well, I mean, it depends for me, I mean, if that's your go-to, but sometimes I'm like, I just don't feel like that particular spice blend right now, and you just can't avoid the spice blend, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't because I like it, and because, like I said, if I can eat that and get food in like 15 minutes and know it's reasonably healthy, but I do like, man, I really want a burrito with some rice and some sour cream in it, which
See,
I don't get.
even when I got Chipotle pre this, when I would get a burrito, I would skip the rice anyway because I never found myself at the end of a burrito going, man, I wish there was more in there. Like, I'm never not full at the end of a burrito. You're
That'd
a rice
be like
guy.
time to go get chips.
Well, I've already eaten the chips in that scenario. Like,
Gotcha.
pretty much, I'm eating the burrito. My go-to is steak or chicken, depending. Like, you look at the levels and how fresh it is. Because the steak, when it's good, is excellent. But when the steak is mediocre, it's not so good. So you're kind of better off with the chicken sometimes, in my opinion. And steak with the corn salsa and a little bit of sour cream, and that's it in the burrito. And then whatever kind of falls out of the burrito, you have with the chips.
Yeah.
So that little mix of the Chipotle seasoning and the sour cream with a couple of pieces of corn salsa on a chip are pretty good.
That is good. That's very good. I guess I just can't relate to your issues because I've never been like, I'd rather have a fish sandwich than Chipotle.
Well, I never want the fish sandwich. I mean, I'm just saying that there's no different taste option. It's all the same taste with different proteins and textures. It's not a huge deal. You know, I'm not.
All I'm getting from this is that Chipotle needs to add fish.
I want lobster thermidor on the Chipotle menu. That's all I'm saying. It's a minor request. I think I'm going to tweet at them tonight and get them to get on that.
All right, Batman.
So, any other food topics you want to talk about? I've been drinking a lot of Powerade Zero.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Is grape your go-to on that?
Actually, it's the blue one. I never thought I would be a blue person, but it's like a mixed berry, and it's very good.
Every time I go to the grocery store, Powerade Zero, they'll all be gone, except it'll be like the entire rack of grape left. So I don't think grape's a popular flavor.
Grape makes me cough. Like, if I have the grape, it, like, messes with my throat. Like, if you've heard me cough a couple of times tonight, it's because there's an empty grape sitting on my table right here.
Well, why don't you just pretend it's cough syrup?
That's what the orange tastes like to me.
Really?
Yeah, for me, it's the blue or the red. I've been real thankful that they've made developments in sugar-free technology that don't taste like garbage. According to my doctor, diet soda or pop, if that's your thing, is fine. Anything with zero actual carbohydrates and sugar in it, he's fine with. He says maybe long-term you don't want to do that, but for now, if it's keeping you from the real stuff, just avoid the real stuff.
There you go. Well, I don't want to contradict your doctor.
Oh, here we go.
Somebody else who's pretty smart, a.k.a. former professional wrestling legend Diamond Dallas Page, the creator of DDP Yoga, once said on an interview, if you're going to have Diet Coke, I'd rather you have Coke. And if you're going to have Coke, I'd rather you have cocaine.
Well, cocaine is fine on this. There are no carbohydrates in cocaine. I don't believe so. Actually, I'm going to Google that because I want to see what the results are. But I'm also I'm incognito moding this one.
Well, you search that. I'm going to tell you, he also recommended to drink this stuff called Zevia, which is diet pop flavored with stevia. And it's pretty bad. I just don't really drink pop at all anymore.
I pop is one of the things kind of getting me through it. Especially
I get it.
Especially with with the no sugar, I can't even have like real fruit. So I just have this big hole in my flavor palette of fruity things. So the Powerade Zeros have been very good about that. Is that I have some fruity things I can drink that get that fruity sensation back.
I understand. I probably drink more coffee than I should in a day because I like it and it's basically 0 calories. So I can just like, oh, I'll have some more coffee.
Yeah.
Whereas before it would have been like, oh, I'll have a Mountain Dew or I'll have something bad.
Well, especially like as we discussed with the sous vide egg bites, it also takes my order down price wise at a Starbucks. I'm like, I'll just have a medium coffee with a little bit of cream in it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's $2. And it's like, oh, this used to be a $6 proposition.
Yeah, there's this chain from Milwaukee that has a location in my neighborhood called Collectivo. And I went there to get a nitro cold brew. And this shit was $7.
Jeez.
I couldn't be like, no, I don't want it anymore because it wasn't on the menu. All they had was the price for the small. And I was like, no, I want a large. And then she was like, oh, okay, it's $7. And after she gave it to me, and then I'm stuck, and she was nice. So I'm like, they put a tip thing on the machine. So I'm like, now I'm obligated to tip. And
it's man, even 15% of $7. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I was like, I thought I was coming in here to spend $4 and now I'm out $8.50.
Jeez Louise, that's a large price for a coffee drink, especially when what you really wanted was $2.
Yeah, I should have just got hot coffee. It would have been fine.
Okay,
but it was 80 degrees out.
Yeah, that's the worst part. And then iced coffee is kind of gross unless you put a bunch of sugar in it. If they don't make it very well.
I like black coffee now. Once I switched to that, I went from being a person who had to put in like 5 creams and sugar to now it's like, unless it's from Dunkin' Donuts, I want it black.
I do a little bit of cream. I don't need the sugar in it, and I didn't before, but the cream I like. Okay, I went to Reddit. Not that I'd recommend it, and I'm pretty ashamed of myself for doing it, but after being in keto for 4 weeks, I did a few lines of coke after taking shrooms last week with no ill effects. I am not a habitual drug user and tend to take shrooms once a year. No pot use. Didn't feel too rough in the morning either. I did have a few beers during the trips and found myself out of ketosis in the morning. But to be fair, by a few lines, I mean 2 very small lines, which is usually not the case when someone sets out to do coke. So most of these people are saying if you smoke pot, just have healthy munchies around. Funny you should mention keto and cocaine. I actually did cocaine a week or so ago and have been on keto for over 2 weeks. I use keto sticks, and after doing about 1 gram and drinking mass water and smoking mass cigarettes and herb, I tested myself the next morning and had larger amounts of ketones in my body. I don't do it on the regular, but I'm sure you'll be fine. So I think this is kind of encouraging me to do cocaine. I've been doing keto for about 3 months and use cocaine occasionally, a couple grams a month on average. From my experience, dehydration is amplified by it quite a lot, so water is really important. I test very frequently, and cocaine has never kicked me out of ketosis. Even after nights of sharing a quad with 3 or 4 people. Coke is an awesome diet drug. It suppresses your appetite and elevates your heart rate. So... we would never condone the use of illegal substances here on the Waiting for Next Year podcast, but kind of looks like it's the way to go if you really want to be successful in your diet, is cocaine.
I mean, that makes sense. A bunch of like all those action stars and stuff in the 80s were all cokeheads.
Yeah, that's how they stay thin.
I used to wonder how Arnold Schwarzenegger would wake up at 5 a.m. before they shot Predator, ripped him raring to go. And then I was like, well, he's probably on coke and more anabolics than a normal human body could handle.
Yeah, but he can, because I think the Coke and the steroids kind of complement each other. All right, this is probably a danger. If there's kids listening, don't do drugs for real. We're not doing any drugs over here. All right. Any more food diet chat you want to do, or do you want to talk about anything else?
I just want to say I thought this was all okay because I read Joe Thomas's Twitter, and it's all just about making food.
Yeah, and how to make tortillas. He gave me a good tip on making low-carb tortillas taste a little better.
Really?
Because they're all right. They just have a little bit of a twang to them, but he says put them in a panini press and kind of warm them up.
Oh, okay. I did see that.
Maybe I'll get one of the giant things like they have at Chipotle. One of the big round to go next to my hot dog roller grill. Did we talk about that in recording session or not in recording? I can't remember.
That was when we were recording.
Okay, good. Roller grill.
Yeah, there's a hint inside for all the listeners. We can't tell when we started recording because the conversation hasn't changed.
Not at all. Not at all. I literally don't know. Did I talk about the chicken things?
I think so.
Okay, we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow when this is available for download. Should we talk about sports? I mean, you've got 15 more minutes.
I got 15 more minutes to talk about every sport that's going on right now.
All right. Controversial VAR penalty call in the France versus Norway game today in the U.S. Women's World, not the U.S. Women's World Cup, the Women's World Cup. The U.S. Had their whole thing yesterday. Controversial call. What's your take on it?
I think it's bad. I don't like it one bit, and frankly, I also think it should be discussed by someone with a European accent.
I agree with both of those comments. It was a bad call. I think there was nothing malicious in the tackle. I think the girl who got hit was yelling a bit too much. But hey, so France takes the match 2-1 and is likely to move on to the next round. A real subject for maybe a game you did see or see highlights of. I've seen a lot of controversy about the U.S. women winning 13-0 over Thailand.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? Do you have thoughts on this?
I just don't understand why nobody take this out of context.
Here we go.
I don't understand why a meaningless game in the grand scheme of things matters anything to the people in the debate on how much they should be getting paid. Are they more valuable now because they won 13-0, or would they have made a better point winning 18-0? You can't, that should be completely, it has nothing to do with, it's not germane to the conversation.
I agree. They are separate issues in this. To me,
you should either be going by what they are as a draw, not what they are on the field. Because as we all know, I'm sorry to railroad you before you could finish, but the New York Knicks sell a ton of merchandise, and they're one of the most dumpster fire franchises in the NBA. And I don't think anybody should say they should be evaluated to be worth less than they are because they're in New York and people buy all their merchandise, no matter how bad they are on the court. Okay, I'm done.
Big rant from Chris Clem. Yeah. It is very difficult to see. I think the women's game is definitely growing. This World Cup has been treated very similar to the men's World Cup as far as coverage goes. The games have been on broadcast TV. They've got full studio segments. They've got all this stuff. To me, I don't think it's a man versus woman issue. I think it's a skill level and team differentiation. The bottom falls out of the women's game faster because it just hasn't been around as long as far as the tournament. The first Women's World Cup was in 1991. The first Men's World Cup was in 1934. So it's like the difference in the team from number 1 to number 34, which is where Thailand was, is a huge cavern. And so to run it up on them, I'm saying anybody in the top 10, run it up as much as you want. But Thailand, I'm not going to tell anybody that it's right or wrong. I just thought it was in a little bit poor taste. But hey, you got to play the games. It is the biggest tournament in the world. So I'm going to cover all my bases. And if you hate me for it, at me on Twitter or at Chris, and we'll talk about it. And I'll respond all in GIFs, animated GIFs.
I just, people don't have a problem in college football when they run up the score. So why does it matter in the Women's World Cup? It's dumb either way. You're either for people running up the score or you're not. And like you said, the score drops out faster because of the nature of the game. But like in a month, it's not going to matter anyways. Nobody's even going to be regardless of how the tournament shapes out, nobody's going to be like, oh, remember when they won that game 13-0? Like, you don't get bonus for that.
Well, if anything, it sets the U.S. team up for a problem.
Yeah.
If they don't win, then the 13-0 makes them look silly. That makes them look like a let's hypothetical situation, and this is not based on anything in reality. But let's say let's pick a random sport like basketball. Say that there was a team that won during the regular season like more games than any team had ever won, right? And then maybe they get up a big lead in the finals. And then what if, and again, 100% hypothetical, what if the other team comes back to win the series? What happens to that team that was so good in the regular season? Just pretend that they won more than any other team ever had. They just look silly in the end. So what I'm saying is that the U.S. women need to win this tournament, or else they will look silly. And it's so silly that it doesn't Sorry, it's too far-fetched of an example. Sorry, it's way out there. I understand. I apologize.
You know what would be even crazier is if somehow they could get the best soccer player from another country to become a naturalized citizen in the next span between the World Cup. Would that totally change how we feel about the U.S. women's soccer team?
I think
forever?
It would be, yeah. If they got the one lady from Norway who decided to sit out this cup and she joined the U.S. squad, I think that would be, again, it's too far-fetched to even notice it.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable example. It's more like fantasy sports.
Yeah, it's like, hey, yeah, I'll take Carlos Hyde in the 4th round kind of thing. Basketball. We're not doctors. You're not a doctor, right? I think our diet chat has proven neither of us are doctors.
No. Whatever.
Here's my NBA Finals take. My only thing going forward is I need the Raptors to win. And the reason I need the Raptors to win is because I want the 2016 Cavaliers to be the only team that's ever come back from a 3-1 lead.
Well, I agree with that. I also need the Raptors to win because I still hate the Warriors and most of their players.
I agree. I also do as well. A lot of talk. I think a lot of people are thinking that the series is over. And I'm not saying that it's not or it is, but it looks like people are already, with Kevin Durant's injury, people are already looking at the free agent movements. How is that injury going to affect things? They're saying Kyrie Irving was planning on meeting up with Kevin Durant somewhere, and now that's not so sure. What do you think is going to happen this offseason?
I think the finals is going 7 games, and then who knows what'll happen. Secondly, Kyrie Irving has to be loving this because the last 2 seasons, I know he was hurt last year, but they've kind of exposed him as the kind of player he is and what difference he actually makes to a team. And this is his last chance to get that kind of run where people are going to be like, no, Kyrie's legit one of the best players in the NBA. And honestly, he is probably one of the best 5 scorers in the NBA, but I mean, he's not really doing much outside of that.
And he's also one of the top 5 weirdest people in the NBA.
Yeah, and that's why I hope he goes to the Knicks or somewhere in New York. I guess he could go to the Nets, but I want that media market to deal with his earliness, just like from all the stories from the Cavs beat writers that came out after he left, and even the stuff they kind of like, if you read between the lines while he was still on the team, he seems like a cantankerous guy who's kind of intelligent, but also thinks he's way smarter than he is and has a lot of ideas about things that don't necessarily have basis in reality. I'm not even talking like the flat earth stuff, but he has all kinds of apparently interesting take on things. It's like when they say somebody's just intelligent enough to be dangerous, like he's that guy. And him getting interviewed by people in the saltiest, like biggest media market in the world would be amazing.
It would
especially
be
if it's for like 4 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I speak for the both of us. We both want to live in his sustainable pod community of the future, obviously.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, I don't see him as the power of a franchise. I see him as the sidekick, much to his chagrin, I'm sure.
I see him. The weird thing is, and this will make people mad, but probably not anybody listening to this. But
are there people
NBA
listening
fans,
to this? Oh, I thought we were just chatting.
They're done by now. Yeah, it's just us. Maybe if we're lucky, some people we know will listen to it or something.
Maybe somebody's doing like a project or something and just needs something on in the background.
Yeah, and maybe they like perk up during this part or something, or maybe they're asleep. Either way, the listens get logged. So,
well, I do think once I said chagrin, Craig's audio scanning feature picked it up, and he's now listening at this point because he thought we were talking about the Chagrin Cinemas, now showing "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot."
Oh, nice.
Sorry, I interrupted you in the middle of an actual sports take.
No, it's fine. I know exactly what thought I was going to say. I was just like, they could have stopped listening 2 seconds in. They got to download. The numbers count. That's all that matters for those big advertiser podcast bucks.
It's true.
The thing is, guys in the past get super overrated by the present. And somebody like Allen Iverson, it's clear, could have never won a championship playing that way. He had basically the perfect team for him, and all it got them was a shock win in one game of the NBA Finals. And I'm not saying Kyrie is that legendary or whatever, but he's basically the exact same type of player and the exact same type of game. Not the exact same. He's a better shooter. He's not as explosive, but a one that scores a lot, doesn't get anybody else involved, and really doesn't bring anything else to the table. And every coach who's ever had him is the kind of guy like, he's so athletic, I can get him to play defense, and they never do. And it's not going to happen at this point. He's almost 30. So what I'm saying is that's the kind of player he is. And the thing I thought would upset people is that Allen Iverson is actually not that good, and he wasn't that good going back through history. He just happened to come across at a time where a little guy putting up 30 points a game meant something.
Right.
So Kyrie Irving has this chance now to go to a team, put up a ton of numbers, have every person with the Lakers avatar on Twitter say how great he is and how he should get back with LeBron, and he's one of the best players in the league. And then when he doesn't make the playoffs, or he has another mystery knee injury, or he sits out in a pivotal game, he's writing his own legacy. And I think legacy is overhyped too, because that's all people talk about the NBA in terms of. But I mean,
but so few players
will tell you what kind of player he is.
So few players actually have legacies too. Like the Kyrie Irvings of the world aren't going to have an NBA legacy. I'm afraid. Like LeBron will, Durant will, Curry will, but sorry, Klay Thompson, you're not going to have an NBA legacy. You were an excellent player in the NBA, but you weren't a player that anybody's going to think about in 15 years. You know?
Klay Thompson, 15 years from now's legacy is going to be the clip of him missing that dunk in China on the promotional tour.
The only reason people are going to think of Klay Thomas is because PBS will come on and they'll show the logo, and they'll think it's him.
They're only going to think of him because his brother will get another shot in spring training with the Indians, and they'll be like, "Hey, didn't that guy's brother play in the NBA?"
They'll only remember Klay Thompson because they'll be watching the the Nickelodeon streaming service and an episode of Doug will come on.
History will only remember Klay Thompson because not as a basketball player, but for having a goatee whose texture perfectly matched his hair.
Klay Thompson will only be remembered because chocolate milk will be added to the banned substance list in the future. Although cocaine is fine on keto.
Yeah, cocaine is fine. I think Klay Thompson is going to be the first NBA player to get caught with legal weed.
That he got from his dad or something.
Yeah.
You know what, son? Try this. I think it might help you mellow out a little bit. Boy,
right,
the remembering Klay Thompson runs are almost as good as the LeBron as an old head runs.
Yeah, because he's a character. Like you said, he doesn't have a legacy. But when you think of some interesting stuff, I think Klay Thompson going to China to promote shoe brand. I don't even know what shoe brand, which shows what good of a promotional tour it was, at least here, is more memorable to me than like, oh, Steph Curry had a cooking show and his wife said it was rigged and also said she wished men would hit on her so she knew what it felt like to be wanted by somebody other than Steph. Just a bunch of weird stuff with his family and his wife. Nothing too memorable about him except for that he looks like a fetus.
He does. Anta is Klay Thompson's shoe company.
Okay.
Apparently. What a weird...
He didn't rock the Li Nings like Damon... the guy got his soup thrown in his face. How do I not remember
Damon Jones.
Damon Jones.
Or, depending on what year it is, Eamon Owens.
Ooh, no D and no J.
Yeah.
Classic Cleveland sports radio burn. Dun, 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 dun.
And we end where we started, Drive Time Radio.
That'll get you broadcasting from the Galleria, my friend.
Now, I want to tell you about my friends over at Window Nation. Anything? I know you had a
Dave. I'd like to.
Oh, hold on. We've got
Dave,
we've got a Chris in Chicago. Chris in Chicago. How's it going?
Hey, Dave. I'd like to give a take. Me and all the boys down here at Rodeo Palojas in the North Loop have been really celebrating because we're big Indians fans. And I just got an idea, you know, the tribe's not having a good season so far. And I want to get your take on this trade.
Too long, buddy boy. You're gone. This has been Dave Buzzard time. Was that too much?
No.
All right. Well, you said you had someplace to be, so I think we'll wrap this up here.
Oh, it's 9, yeah.
Yeah, I could chat. Well, it's 10 here, so it's time difference.
Right. Sorry.
But I had fun. I'd keep talking all night if we were allowed, but you've got to go get some Chipotle, and I understand.
I wish I was getting Chipotle.
All right. Well,
I might go get some in a couple hours. I might get some of those chicken chips I was talking about.
Yeah, let me know. I really actually do want to know about those because I am still searching for a chip. I really am. The pork rinds aren't doing it for me.
If they're good, I will send you a bag.
Much appreciated, and I'll send you a hot dog with no bun.
Nice. Off the roller?
Exactly, because you were my guest. You were my guest tonight. You're entitled to one off-the-roller hot dog.
Woo!
All right, if you made it this far...
Starbucks, roller hot dogs.
I wonder if you could get a roller big enough to do the sous vide egg bites.
Maybe you could you probably could, and you could have a new podcast, the Hot Dog Roller Boys.
Now, yeah, this is for... I have a subject the next time we talk about this. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Thank you, Chris Clem, for being on the podcast.
Sorry, we only talked about sports for the last 8 minutes.
This was
really serious.
You know what? The only thing I wanted to do during this was plug my other podcast, and I waited till after 49 and a half minutes of other junk to get to it. If you like sports movies, I had a sports movie podcast that ran for a couple of years, and then we took a 3-year break. But now we're back. So if you want to Google anything to add Monty, or search for it in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, you can hear about great sports movies, new episodes coming out all the time after a 3-year break. And I think you might like it. And Chris Clem, who you just heard talking a bunch, was on an episode about a terrible movie called Celtic Pride.
Literally worse than I could have ever expected.
But he made it funny when we talked about it. So check that out. Anything to add,
also,
Monty?
Wrecking Balls.
Wrecking Balls is still, a lot of people can't find it because it was on Netflix for a while, then it was on Hulu for a while, but yeah. Wrecking Balls.
You change your account location to Australia, I believe it's still on Netflix.
It's the first thing that auto plays when you bring up Netflix. Chris can be found on Twitter at Chris_Clem. I can be found. I
haven't been tweeting a lot lately, but I think it's because it's bad for all of us.
You're right.
Follow me.
It is, but follow. And you can follow me at Demoko. Thank you for listening. And Craig, thank you for listening. Personally, Abs Craig. All right.
Thank you, Craig, for listening while you do half of your morning jog.
Yeah, he's going longer than 50. Thank you while you expend 658 calories. Powered by sous vide egg bites. All right.
Enjoy that quarter of an apple.
This has been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. Thank you very much.